A lot to discuss with our next guest, Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett of Texas. Congressman, good morning. Thanks for being here with us. Do you think, just to pick up on what Lauren and I were talking about a few moments ago, do you think we're going to be heading into a shutdown tonight, given, Mike Johnson's insistence that lawmakers have enough time to read the legislation? It might not happen this time around. What do you think?
Well, I think the real problem is the insistence of Elon Musk and his sidekick Donald Trump to interfere with the negotiations that have gone on here. For weeks, we've been doing exactly what so many people have asked, and that is to seek common ground. Finally, agreement was reached. Republican and Democratic leadership in the House and Senate signed off, and minutes before we were to vote on it, Elon Musk and Donald Trump intervened with totally new demands, told Republicans if they continued to support this agreement that they would be primaried and run out of office. And so here we are, instead of the disaster relief that so many families wanted, all Republicans have given us is a disaster.
And what about this new proposal we're hearing about that would strip a suspension of the debt ceiling against Trump's wishes? That's something he wanted. If that gets pulled out, could that work?
That was the demand that he made at the last minute, and I think he made it solely because of his desire to separate the debt. After all, he is the self-described king of debt, and he's about to push forward a tax bill that's designed to help people like Elon Musk and fellow billionaires, and he doesn't want that associated with the trillions of dollars of new debt that it will create, causing even some Republicans this week for the first time to say we cannot afford that kind of tax scam again. If the debt limit change is removed from the bill, we need to look at it closely, but it's against an experience this week of having a complete agreement, ready to vote on it, and then having Republicans back down on their word. So we really need to see the final version of this and know it's there and know that Trump has agreed to it before we can move forward.
And what's your reaction to Trump calling on Congress to shut down the government now? We were just showing the Truth Social post a few moments ago. He is saying, well, do it while Biden is president. What do you make of that?
Well, it's like the ghost of shutdown past. Trump had 3 shutdowns against his own government when he was there before. It is an indication of the chaos that lies ahead. Yes, he wants the debt limit changed now because he does not want to focus attention on the fact that he will add trillions of dollars of debt with a tax break for Elon Musk and his fellow billionaires. That's what he decided at the last minute was a demand he could impose on Republicans and that he could threaten them into backing this. This really is also a question of whether Republicans will exercise any independent judgment, or they're just here as minions and followers of Donald Trump as he leads them off the debt cliff.
And Congressman, I do want to ask you about this. Musk's tanking of this bipartisan spending deal that you had earlier this week has some pretty devastating impacts. The stripped-down version cuts funding for medical research and the fight against pediatric cancer. Is there any way to bring that back? I can't think of a more worthy program than researching pediatric cancer.
Absolutely, Jim. You see the pain and anguish on the faces of families that face a child threatened by death and disability from cancer. That was a reasonable provision. We got Republicans to agree on some funding for community health centers, and I hope that can be included in the bill. Those are the kind of programs that some want to cut in order to finance these tax cuts for those at the top. The other big concern I have, because we have a terrible shortage of air traffic controllers in Austin, my hometown, is the impact that the shutdown could have on air traffic. With holiday traffic at its peak right now, we really faced with a shutdown that impacts these air traffic controllers. They have to go to work, but they're not being paid. Last time when that happened, some of them didn't show, added to the air traffic shortage and inconveniencing and imperiling people all over the country as they should be able to celebrate Christmas and Hanukkah and rejoin their families.
And Congressman, I did want to ask you to respond to Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. He's blaming Democrats. Let's listen to what he had to say.
The Democrats just voted to shut down the government, even though we had a clean CR, because they didn't want to give the president negotiating leverage during his first term, or during the first year of his new term. And number two, because they would rather shut down the government and fight for global censorship. They've asked for a shutdown, and I think that's exactly what they're going to get.
Yeah, Congressman, what's your response to that?
Well, that's absolute nonsense. He ignores the fact that 38 Republicans voted against this proposal, one of whom, a colleague of mine from Texas, spoke forcefully against adding more debt. I believe we need to reach agreement. We ought to support the original agreement. If we can't get that, let's try to find common ground, save the holidays for families and those who've experienced disaster. I believe Democrats want to move forward in good faith, but this is really a totally Musk-Trump created problem, and it's up to Republicans to decide how they want to move forward on that. It's in their hands.
All right, Congressman Lloyd Doggett of Texas, thanks very much for your time this morning.
Merry Christmas.
We appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you too. All right.